second round.
Yes.
Yeah, did they pick up the third pile yet?
I
Yes,
think
they
so.
did.
They did. They came back and
on
got it?
Sunday and did
Okay,
it. Sunday
so-
early in the
Well,
morning.
they didn't come down Greenstone and pick up.
They went down Pebblestone. There's still some stuff on Greenstone, those
Yeah,
logs?
They're still there, they're still there.
Those
You know.
stumps in, next to your
I would have
your
thought they
neighbor.
would have got those.
That I don't know, maybe it's the way they're piled up, that it's not.
There's two
No,
right
they're
right on
just,
the curb.
he just, the big
Yeah.
stump.
Okay.
Are they small? Are they small to hand pick them up?
Oh,
They're
Pretty
heavy.
heavy, huh? They're pretty big, are they? They
yeah,
should have
take
picked them up
them.
then.
Well, just for the sake of moving on, let's, if no one has any objections or comments on the minutes, I'm looking for a motion.
So moved to accept.
To accept the minutes, Virginia Stacy, any seconds?
I'll second
Oh,
it.
okay.
Janice beat you to it. And Janice Lancaster gets the second. Any comments on the minutes? All in favor to approve them?
Aye.
Aye.
Minutes are approved.
Since I wasn't here.
Okay. All right, at this point in time, we don't have an actual items on the agenda, but I do want to make comment that I did get in an email, and I don't have copies for all of you. It's on. I don't have copies from all of you, but I am a little disappointed or disturbed by, on the landscaping services, the utility fees year-to-date are up over $8,000 from last year. And I don't understand why that is and where it came from. And Chris isn't here, so I can't even ask him, and hopefully we'll get some answer on that. I'll follow up with whoever, Chris, Mike, or whoever handles that stuff. But in any case, I'm gonna pass this around if you'd like to grab it, where my comments or some of my questions. Electricity's popped up too, above what we budgeted for. So that means it could be a problem for next year.
And
At the end of the meeting,
We
can we
bumped
get
it
a
up with
copy?
that, those 21 extra
Yeah,
lights.
I'll
didn't
try
we?
to get that for you, yeah.
We bumped it up with those 21 extra lights.
Yeah, that's
last
for
year.
street light electricity, I agree. And some of that is there. We did bump it up, but apparently we're still falling short on the street lights. And that's what brought attention to me about the fact we're paying for lights we don't even have because they're not there. And maybe we can do something with that. But otherwise, most things are in line. Maintenance and repairs on the road is running a little over last year.
When FPL added those automatic devices on top of every pole, you think that could have affected it?
You mean that each pole comes on its own or something?
Yeah.
So therefore it may have increased, but you see, on the poles along the road, we're not paying for electric use. We pay a fee for the pole to be there and the light to be there, and for that fee, and electricity and maintenance is included for that fee. So it's really a fixed amount.
Are you sure?
Yeah. Yeah.
We should look into that, because I don't remember Eric ever telling us that.
Well, I know that from the contract that we signed way back when we did this.
The original one, but I
Yeah.
don't think this last one.
Yeah, no, we don't pay a separate electricity fee. And the utility fee is not electricity. That's the one that really, I don't understand where that big number came from.
So that's with the water.
I guess so.
Probably all the times that they're testing the sprinkler during the day.
Yeah.
Still a lot of money.
And they're still testing, it seems like.
The one across the street from me.
But you know, keep this in mind, during the summertime, they shut them down for a while. And then when we had the floods, they were off.
The one directly across the street from me has been on, I think, every day.
It seems like they've been running a lot during the day lately.
Across the street from you, in the loop?
For Pebblestone, you know, right across the street where Pebblestone comes down to the loop. It's on every day. And one of them comes all the way across to it's my mailbox.
So you're talking, these are located on Pebblebrook?
Pebblestone, or Pebblebrook.
All right, we gotta look into that, to see what's going on
Are
there.
you talking about
If that
water?
all is all sewage, or irrigation, I'm sorry.
The one
On
light with
Pebblebrook.
the trees is on right now, so I don't.
No, this will be
know.
public.
Okay, that
because it's
doesn't run
going
up
out
our
the gate
electric
when you're
bill.
coming in, so.
Yeah, it's theirs, and we let them know usually when it's not working properly, but it doesn't really run it up.
I
All right,
have,
so we gotta look into the utilities.
I have a question or
Sure.
a comment about the sprinkler heads coming into, right before you go around the curve. when those heads are on, they're all in the street.
Yep.
Cause it burns me up that I have to get that Danny
Wash
water on my
and
car.
Drive through that, yeah.
Well, I gotta tell you, this is Mainscape, and
Well-
and they're supposedly coming up and down that road all the time, testing them. We're getting charged for that service, and I don't know what
I've
to
seen
say.
them out there, Joe.
Yeah, but
They-
how can they be pointing out
I
in the
don't
street?
know. It's, the time is screwed up.
I
There's
know.
still several that are buried too, that are,
Yeah.
when they come on, they just wash sand across the sidewalk.
Well, how many
You sure
times-
they're buried or is not a leak in the underground leak?
They're broken.
Probably
Yeah.
from people driving on them back in August and during the hurricane. How many ruts do we have from people
But
driving up on the curb?
I'll tell you, when Mainscape's out there supposedly checking this stuff, they should be picking up on that. I know they're having employee problems, but that's
So who's
ridiculous.
checking on me?
Well, that's just it. That's part of everyone's job as residents, I
So
guess.
we
There
take
should be,
pictures and we
let's
say
say
these are
this,
all-
I haven't seen Elle in our community in some time. I'm not sure what they got her doing these
I mean,
days.
basically, what do we have to start taking pictures of the sprinklers that are on and the heads that are broken, like Tom just said, so we can go, okay, here they are.
That's a possibility.
Well, you would
Have
think
the
they'd be on their
opportunity.
A game right now,
Because
not
we're
knowing that there's a
talking-
contract that they're looking at.
Unless you have something on
Right?
paper.
Well, that's for us.
I know, but you would
That's for
think
us.
they'd be on their A game.
And but I'm not sure where they stand with Gateway, because that's Gateway's contract. We pay for it, but that's
Yeah.
actually a Gateway contract up and down Pebblebrook. It's not included with the contract that we approve them for.
Yeah, but it's still performance.
I know, I agree, I agree. I agree, so Chris isn't here. So we have a couple audience members here. Obviously, you got an issue, so let's,
We only allow one.
And 3 minutes.
Every day.
we got lots of time. What do you got?
You can sit down, you don't
No, I
have to.
gotta stand up because if I sit too long.
Not
my
only
voice
that,
might
but
go
to
up.
get recorded and be part of the, so just identify yourself, Warren.
We have several topics,
Warren,
and since you were just talking about,
who are you?
uh,
The person who's gonna do
Warren
the,
Davies, Stone Valley Loop.
Okay.
The reason why they
in
do
Stoneybrook.
this is because she doesn't take minutes anymore.
Oh, she knows
It's
me.
all no, but it's all recorded. It's all recorded.
I know,
so
I
it's-
understand, I
Yes.
understand.
It's
Okay.
ridiculous.
Since we're talking about irrigation and landscaping and mainscapes, we'll start with that on our list. The irrigation is rotten at best, terrible at worst.
could you be
And-
specific, Warren, where you're talking about?
Irrigation in Stoneybrook, in the main areas where mainscape covers, which includes Pebblebrook, Hampton Park area out in front. Right after the hurricane, and before that, but go more of that because it's more time frame, we never saw any irrigation on Pebblebrook, nowhere. So then we start complaining. And now you're the pain in the butts that are complaining all the time because irrigation's working. Nothing worked, and we kept telling them, well, the problem is, between the two intersections of Stone Valley Loop, the pipes are broke. They're sticking up in the air. Irrigation pipes, right where the tree come down, they're sticking up about like this. Jerry finally come down the gateway here and complained to them and talked to the person in charge, and he was not aware that it wasn't working. Within the next 2 or 3 days, they found that and they fixed it. Now, a couple things on that was the number of people that drive by that we complained to, never noticed it. Come on, I mean, it was pretty obvious. We have some pictures somewhere on it. We have Stoneybrook board members that drive by. We have some that walk by. We have Mainscapes people that are working right there, cutting grass, trimming grass, but no one reports this to the people that are responsible to get it fixed. Once they found out, they got it fixed pretty quick. Now, Mainscapes does not, they're supposed to be checking monthly. We have not seen them check the back irrigation, the ones along the Hampton. Now, we haven't been down to walk to see if the timer's working or anything, but we haven't seen it in a long time. Only time we see mainscapes is when the guy cutting grass does 20 miles an hour down along the bushes going to 82 and then back down the other way. That's the only time we see them. Once in a while we'll see someone else out there doing some stuff. But mainscapes, as far as irrigation is concerned, does not do a job at all. They have don't seem to have any preventive maintenance. They have no communication with the people that are out there cutting grass to getting things done.
I agree. They actually have different departments, and that's part of the problem within the
Yeah,
company.
and that's the problem. And that's the problem with all landscapers. You gotta stay, and we do, we have our own landscape, and we're on them all the time when they're not out there when they're supposed to be. And they may be a day late or whatever, but we make sure they get out there, and it's been tough since the hurricane because everybody's been so busy. Then, staying with mainscapes, complaining about the sod where the couple trees come out there, again, between the two intersections of Stone Valley Loop. That was bare forever. Big chunks, big holes, the whole 9 yards. Finally, some complaints. They went out and they smoothed it out, dumped some dirt in it. The irrigation was working, and the first time the irrigation went on, it put a great big hole because they didn't check the irrigation ahead of time, and there was a pipe broke,
Probably by the
and
roots.
there was a hole there.
Yep.
So they apparently put some more dirt in that, but then they come out and put sod down.
Did they fix the leak?
Oh, I don't know.
Probably not.
Probably not. I would say maybe they have, because what we've seen working on there now, it seems to be working
Okay.
pretty okay.
They probably covered most of the heads with that new.
Well, they probably did too. They put new sod down. That is, if they put that kind of sod job in my yard, I'd have fired them and made them take it all out. You can't just go and throw it on the ground. Now, we're getting some sod put in one of our neighbors because of where the piles of stuff was. And they said, well, we do this and this and this. And the one thing they do, and when I used to lay sod, we used to do the same thing. You got to cut it in. You got to lower the space a little bit. Now, if you drive down there, you'll see where the sod's at, because it's about that much higher than the regular dirt.
Right out on top of the ground.
Right on, they just laid it on top. They didn't cover all the spots. Some of the spots look like they're waiting for the grass just to kind of grow across it. And that might be fine. That might get it done. I don't know. But I think, and I know that we've been talking about some time, it was mentioned at a board meeting about getting or looking for a new landscaper. And I think now is really the time to do that, because they are not at all getting the job done. They are only reactive to complaints. There's no things ahead. I don't even feel that they're really in compliance if it's in their contract to check those heads. And we've had that problem before.
Absolutely. And in
And-
fact, the price keeps on going up and the service is going down. And they complain to us that they're having trouble finding people, and there may be truth in that.
That's probably true.
But the fact is that the job's not getting done. In fact, there is a committee, if we're talking at the HOA board, that is working on that right now. In
Yeah.
fact, they'll be meeting tomorrow afternoon to review bids, because they did go out to bids.
And I talked to one of the members of that, and they said they were kind of shying away from mainscapes, which I think would be a good idea. I think they've just gotten to the point where they just put everything on there, and they do good at cutting grass, but then they don't trim at times, they don't clean up it good at times, other times they do fine. Yeah, I guess all the
And I'll
people
be
do
honest,
good.
they don't live up to their contract. In their contract, they have actual requirements to do certain number of things, a certain number of times a quarter or per
Right.
year, and they're not even meeting those requirements. And I-
Right.
And I understand that.
So-
And hopefully that will be addressed. I also know that, and I don't know where it stands, but even the Gateway Services, which is really the one that hires the
Right. I
contract for
agree.
along
Yeah.
Pebblebrook, is supposedly looking at their, but I don't know what the status is, but I would think that Margaret would know.
No, I think, and maybe one of the reasons we come here is because, A, we know information we provide here hopefully will get the Gateway Services. It will get to the board, with 2 board members on it, and I know several people that go to all the board meetings and stuff, so that they know what's going on. But to us, it has gotten worse and worse and worse, and we have people complaining all the time, and we complain to Scott. He sends an email to Gateway, and must fall in a hole somewhere along the way because we never hear anything back. And irrigation was what was really concerning, in that those pipes were sticking up.
Yeah.
The line's not gonna work at all until they get that fixed. And then once we reported it up here to the person in charge of that, he didn't realize, he didn't know.
And that sounds so silly, doesn't it? Because you know when the trees went over and the roots came
Yeah.
up, you know it's gonna rip up the
Oh, no
water
question,
lines
they
and
ripped
things.
all those things up
Yeah,
right
I mean,
there.
that's just,
So-
that should have been job one to
Yeah.
check that.
And then we understand also they're supposed to put 2 trees in, the same spots where they were before, between the 2 intersections.
There is a discussion about putting
Yeah.
trees in, and we just talked about that.
Yeah.
The problem is what to put in
Well-
and how many to put in, because just, the fear is just put the same kind of tree in, it's just gonna not blow over
I hope
again.
it don't take as long as it did to take the flagpole up. Because right now, that grass is, to me, it's kind of dumb to put grass down and then come back and cut holes and put irrigation and stuff in
Well,
after you've already paid. That sounds like a Lee County job like they did on Colonial and a few other places around where they did all that work and then come back and took it all up. And
Well,
it's costing us money.
I can't promise you that, okay?
Yeah,
But
I know
will-
you can't,
I-
because
I
they've
will
already put the
I
sod
will
down.
tell you, though, your read on that is probably pretty accurate. When they put the sod down, it was probably telling you something.
Yeah.
It's gonna take a little bit.
The signs, I heard you talking about the signs a little bit. The signs are a big concern. It really looked tacky when the poor people of Weatherstone put that sign out in front.
I didn't know what it was at first until I realized that's their street sign.
I thought it was a for sale sign.
So did I.
And then I looked around, so then I wonder, why is it taking so long to get something done? Something could have been put up temporarily, because I know it's probably gonna take a while to get signs because of all the areas
We're
that
not
need
alone,
signs.
we're not alone.
And I know the cost to replace the signs.
They replaced the signs, and not all the signs, was about $35,000.
Right.
And we decided to try to assess the signs, repair the ones that were repairable,
Mm-hmm.
and then come back and replace the ones that absolutely need to be replaced, that were broken or whatever.
Yeah.
As far as the signs that are missing, that should have been job one. We probably should be doing those. I agree.
And say, the pizza guy can't find the road.
God forbid we don't get our
You're
pizza.
at the end of the street and the guy comes up and says, now, how can I get to Weatherstone, how can I get to this one? Is this Stone Valley Loop? Because we are missing the sign. Yeah, it is, just go, so, you gotta get the pizza guy in there, because there's a whole bunch of pizza companies that come in. And I think there's some furniture deliveries and those other kinds of things that come in, but the pizza is the key thing. So, that was another issue that we were concerned about. The light poles, which was discussed, and we're missing 2 light poles. One, and
Can I interject a second?
Yeah.
I actually talked to the guys putting up the pole
Mhm.
and said, you got all the poles? And he said, just this one. He said, that's the only one on the work list. I said, there's 3 of them, the first 3 in a row. So where the other 2 are missing, nobody even reported them or?
Someone
Yes.
picked 'em up
In
and
fact,
took 'em away.
I confirmed through Margaret that Gateway is aware of it and has been in communication with them.
Well,
And I don't know why those 2 didn't get on the work
Was
list. In
ever
fact,
working-
they were laying there. They came and picked
Right,
them up
they-
and
they
carted them
disconnected
away.
them.
They're all out here.
They what?
It was,
They're all out here.
so it's not FPL that took them away, it
It
was
was
Gateway?
their
They're probably cleaning them up because those poles were ripped right off. I
I
mean,
know.
you couldn't use them again.
But
Yeah.
according to the guy, he gave me his list. He had the list. He goes, I
When that-
have no
Yeah.
work order.
When
I agree.
FPL planted
That's-
them, they didn't put cement. They're supposed to be able to fall over. And
Those twisted.
then the fiberglass snapped.
They snapped off. Okay,
But we're aware of the polls, and supposedly
Oh, yeah.
they're aware of the polls. And beyond that, getting FPL these days to move is a very slow process.
and we understand, because we're running into some of the same problems of getting people in to do work around the houses and stuff. We have roofs that need to be fixed, and since they're not leaking, they're way down the list of getting done, and we have about 60 villas that need roofs fixed, plus we have 70-some that need other work done, so we're gonna have a roof person out there probably for 6 or 7 months. We're getting ready to paint the villas in a couple months. So we got a lot of things going on, so we're trying to get things
Think you
moving
can get
along with the
mulch?
stuff that we can.
You think you could get some pine straw?
If we can get some pine straw, we might even get that done. So we're working with our people to get some of those things done, but it's really tough because we're not emergency people.
Yeah.
Some of the complaints we have is the area behind the villas. Also behind Ivory Stone there, that strip, we mentioned that
Yeah,
before.
that was under the
That's been
category of
reported.
being your
And
It's just waiting
responsibility.
on bids.
Huh?
It's been reported and waiting on bids.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of stuff that needs to get done in there, and we talked to Scott today, and he said they got some stuff going. Gateway's supposed to be doing some stuff. In checking, in researching some of these things, a public records request into Gateway on all the contracts, MOUs, whatever, between Stoneybrook and Gateway. I requested all those things, any kind of information they had. I also did pretty much the same thing with the HOA, try to get the information to see where we're at. Also, getting these things put together, got all the minutes from the advisory committee from November up through the last time you approved minutes. I don't have this month's. So we did some research trying to find out who's on first and who's on second. The interesting thing is, best to my knowledge and best of what I can find through here, there are no active contracts between Stoneybrook and Gateway.
Actually, there is.
There what?
There is.
Well, someone better produce it because it's supposed to be on this, on the request I submitted.
Okay.
They don't have anything. They don't have this map. This map is fine. It says who's doing what where, supposed to, but who authorized it? When was it developed?
That actually goes back before turnover.
Oh, yeah, because it said, the original copy I have here says copy to Bill. The only Bill I knew was Bill Knight.
That's correct.
So it goes back, this map goes back quite a ways. But there's nothing in writing. As people have changed at Gateway, and as they have somewhat changed at Stoneybrook,
I would agree.
no one knows who's on first. When you leave the board, Margaret leaves the board, there'll be nobody on the board that could be familiar with this, and that's what causes turmoil between one organization and another, because no one has taken the time to write a letter, MOU, understanding to show, okay, this is what we're going to do. When we call in a complaint, well, we call Scott, because the property is owned by Stoneybrook. We call Scott, he forwards it up here. Now, currently, some of these people here probably don't even know that this exists.
Apparently, Mike was unaware of the fact of their responsibility, and he is trying to come back to us, and I've heard this secondhand, and say, well, this should really be your responsibility, but
Right.
actually, this was established in some document way back with Lennar. Let me
Go ahead,
finish.
go ahead.
And it had to do with the water maintenance and water drainage in the community. That particular
Mm-hmm.
little parcel that you're talking about that backs up to Ivory Stone and Stone
Stone
Valley
Valley, yeah.
was part of that drainage
Yeah.
arrangement to get into the lake back there.
Yeah.
And,
There's no lake back there.
well,
There's nothing back there.
was there
Yeah,
a
the
drain?
Drains across the
There's
Yeah.
some sewers back there.
Yeah.
And things that go across the property.
Yeah.
But, you know, but by the property appraiser's office, Lee PA, that property is owned by Stoneybrook Master Association.
That's correct.
Any changes in that, to me, there should be something in writing. And I checked, I read all those different things. In 2012, it looked like they were trying to get something together that Stoneybrook would take over all the responsibilities up there. And that got thrown out.
Well, what happened, we did reverse, there was a, I don't want to spend too much time on this,
Yeah.
but there was an issue where there were some board members at that time on the Board of
Yes, I don't believe,
Supervisors who thought that anybody should be able to come in Stoneybrook
Yeah.
and use our facilities,
Right, right.
and so the idea was, we isolated ourselves by the sense that, because there was a point in time, they could have argued that some money from Gateway, the 001 fund, could possibly go into assets within Stoneybrook. We isolated that. We said, no more. You collect taxes, and the taxes that you get for these specific Gateway-owned assets within the community will be paid by Stoneybrook. Therefore, to try to undercut any claim that Gateway funds were being used.
Right.
Some people still, after the fact, still didn't understand that. Because the original agreement, the arrangement between Stoneybrook and Lennar Stoneybrook and Gateway was that Gateway would pay everything after $5,000 when something happened. So the community, the HOA, was on the hook for the first $5,000, but let's say there was a major problem, Gateway picked it up. And that played into the hands of those that said anybody should be able to come in Stoneybrook anytime they want and use anything they wanted. And I even remember standing where you are right now and listening to one of the Board of Supervisors saying, how do we know that the bond money didn't build the facilities, the tennis courts and the softball fields and the pool? Maybe we should all be able to go in and use those too. That's how ugly it got. And so,
I think they, like in this particular situation and where we have improved drastically since 2006 and 7, where we had to give everything back to, by contract. We had that one contract with them because no one was paying their assessments. We had to come in and do this other stuff.
that actually occurred in 2009, that particular.
Was it that late?
Yeah, it was that late.
So, because it was 2012, they had some documents, and all of a sudden they got thrown out because no one could approve on everything. So they got thrown out. So right now, if there's documents somewhere showing
There is
some
an
contact.
updated contract that resulted after that 2012 incident, and that was the result of a group of residents that came up here and were complaining about the security company that we had at the time.
Yeah.
Because one individual had it in for a member of that
Yeah.
owner
Well,
of the
and
company.
I think that it just comes down, if that document is there, we don't, they don't have it because they didn't furnish it to me. They furnished me, nothing that.
Okay, there is,
Essentially accurate.
I may even have it somewhere in some old file. If I can find it, I'll get it to you, okay?
Probably should get it down here too, because if they don't have it,
It should be around. There was a signed document, I can't remember if I signed it or Joe Tarja signed it, but there was something from
the
the
last
post.
thing I saw was Joe Target. I didn't see your signature
Okay.
on anything.
There was something that came after, that, so we'll see. But I know there is a document
Okay.
that came back, reinstated the security
Is there a copy
company,
at the
and we
clubhouse?
had, I'll bet you Tony has a copy, the attorney.
Oh, well, we should have a copy of the clubhouse also, shouldn't we?
We should have a lot of copies of that. Sometimes the only copies we have is the one that Margaret or I have, and we dig them up. I don't know where they go, I really don't know. And we supply them, but that's another problem.
Yes, it is.
Let me add to his list.
Yeah,
Those damn stumps that are sticking up out of the lake.
Yeah.
They go in there in high water and cut them off, and now the lake's going down, the stumps are sticking up this high out of the water.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that needs to get done yet. but-
well, I think we can probably address those later in the dry season when the water is even lower. Probably get a better shot at it.
Well, it's dry around the stumps right now.
Yeah, but
I understand what you're saying.
yeah.
And I'll get, probably Mainscape's guys get their feet wet getting down in there to try to get those out.
Don't want that to happen.
I don't know if Mainscape was doing that, or that was somebody
That'd
else.
probably be Anchor Tree Service doing that.
Possibly.
Okay,
All right, anything else?
did I go over my 3 minutes?
No,
No, not by much.
Thank you.
There is one other thing.
Go ahead. Do me a favor, do identify yourself, okay?
Yeah, Jerry Wolst, 12665 Stonedale Legal.
Okay.
Other than what Warren said, obviously Mainscapes is just, to me, they're brutal. That irrigation has never worked properly. I've been there full-time 2 years now. I mean, you can see as you go down Pebblebrook, if there's a dry area, sprinklers aren't working.
We actually looked into getting new water pipes and new sprinkler heads,
Yeah.
and they came back with a bid of around $57,000.
65,000.
Well, even if they can get the old ones working.
But the problem
Yeah,
is, if
but
you
it's-
put new ones in, and they don't maintain them according to the contract, you might as well not even do it.
Yeah.
Well, that's why we didn't
That's
do
what it comes down to,
it.
the
That's where we are.
But there is no credibility with these people. Nothing gets fixed right.
Mm-hmm.
We called in to report stuff broken, they go, it's working. I said, it's not working. That was their answer for the last 6 months, it's working.
Well, along that line, let's see what we can find out right now from these gentlemen.
Yeah, appreciate it. And one other thing
Yeah.
is that the aeration pump is not working on those.
Which lake?
We got, yeah,
Our lake, by the villas, and the one across the street, there's one pump that takes care of both of those.
it's not working.
That's been out forever, which I've reported,
And you
and
have
It
reported,
was
that's
working
serious.
prior to the hurricane, but after the hurricane, they never did the
Yeah, it's probably got damage in the water.
well, they knew it because it's unplugged.
Okay, and I don't know.
We should plug it in first.
I plugged it in, JT.
It didn't work. Yeah. I gotta tell you, I don't know the lakes by number, but these are the lakes that are on both sides of Pebble Brook and,
Right there by Stone Valley.
By
We don't
Stone
get too far
Valley?
Beyond Stone Valley.
okay. And,
The other ones seem to be working, I've walked up there and looked.
Problems around here.
but they should be, in
We
fact,
have enough for the whole community, I
fact,
guess.
Gateway, I know, is paying, who are they paying to maintain and look at those, aerators for the lakes? Aquagenics.
Yeah.
And they need to be notified,
Yeah.
okay?
Well, supposedly they knew about that too when I talked to Mike, when I came up here to report about the irrigation, but obviously nothing ever gets done.
Well, Aquagenics is supposed to come out on, at the very least, I believe, a quarterly basis?
Pretty much, I
But
think,
after the hurricane,
I think that's pretty close, that's close enough. This is state work, we don't get too specific.
Was that the mic you talk about?
Got two mics.
Is that the other mic?
It must have been the other one then.
We need more.
We'll add you to the list too, don't worry. Give it time.
So, yeah, I mean,
Alright,
it's just everything is such a snail's
I
pace.
wasn't,
and-
no, I had heard about one of the lakes having some debris starting to grow on top of it
Yeah,
as a
it's
result of
all
a lack of the
scuzzy looking and stuff.
And I did
It's
mention
working.
that previously.
Did you have one or two in there?
Thank you.
You had two aerators or just one?
It's just the one pump and I think it takes care of
It,
both
but
the
but it
lakes.
has two blowers.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a small lake to have two.
Hey, we got everybody in here now. How you doing?
Oh.
Can I ask a question about things they brought up?
Hey.
Who do you want to
How's-
ask?
You,
Me?
yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
The $35,000 budget, since we did the ones that have repairs instead of replacing, what has our budget gone down to
For what?
for the signs?
Stop signs and.
Oh, for the signs. Well, it's
What
more
are we
than stop
saving?
signs. It's all the poles and signs along
All
the
that- all
thing.
that's included.
Um,
Light poles included
I will
too?
tell you that's undetermined right now because we were gonna see how many we can fix, then determine
Okay.
how many had to be replaced.
going down.
And then generate, yeah.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
My other question was, who's on the landscaping committee? Do you know the names?
I believe it's Margaret, I believe it's Joe Tarja, and there may be a third person. I don't know if it's George or not.
And are they ready?
Ask Scott that, he should know.
Okay. Are
But
they
there's other
ready to
residents
make-
too, though, I think.
Is there a resident? Was Andy on that?
I think there was two other
Couple
residents.
maybe. So when are they making the decision and are we actually?
They're meeting
paying-
tomorrow afternoon to review the bids.
Okay, so they're reviewing the bids right now.
Yeah, I'm not sure there's gonna be a decision made on Monday's meeting or not, but
Have they
maybe
ever
they're trying to, I don't know.
considered- It sounds like all the problems that we're talking about too, it's such a wide range between the irrigation, and then, they can mow the grass, they can do a lot of other things, but the irrigation, have they considered, the landscaping committee, doing a contractor for one level and then separating and having a different contractor for the irrigation,
There-
so we don't end up
There
with
was a
this
time
not
that it
getting
was
all of
done
this
that
done.
way, but I'll tell you what happened. Because every time there was a damage to the irrigation, they were pointing over at the
I gotcha.
landscaping guy.
Okay.
And you know
They
what,
tried
but
it
it didn't
before.
seem to make any difference, because
Okay.
they hit it, they break it, they run over it, and they still don't do anything, so.
Okay.
But that's what the
You've
problem is,
been
because
there,
you got
done it,
that
tried it.
action.
That's all I know, thank you.
Gentlemen, we got somebody who has or Al, do you wanna?
You had questions.
Yeah, we do, but Al, come on up.
Okay. You had questions about the aerators?
Yeah, we got a problem
Okay.
with some aerators over there.
Yes, we do. I currently, I've identified in not just Stoneybrook, I have several of them out in Gateway.
Mhm.
They are working to put together a proposal right now.
Excuse me, is not Aquagenics have a contract to come in and maintain these things on a regular basis right now?
They do, but they don't, it does not cover the fact if they went underwater and the compressor went out, or, the capacitor is gone in it, or the
Well, they
windings
were
are
underwater,
burned.
weren't they?
Limited.
Probably were.
They come in and they go, you can it's just like maintaining your car. I mean, you can do
Understand.
everything perfect to it, but still sometimes things break down, especially like if we have what we did with the storm and all the flooding and so many of these
I know, and
components
they're
went
probably busy.
underwater.
Let me ask you though, and I think this is important, just a second. And would they have handled this without us complaining about it?
Yes,
So they were aware and this was a process, a work in progress already? Because doesn't seem that way. It seems like we gotta,
I know, it seems like it's
no,
always,
squeak, you
it's
gotta
always
squeak,
so
that
slow.
wheel's gotta squeak a lot before it gets oiled, if you know what I mean.
Well, and I can get pretty squeaky with them,
Okay.
trust me.
Okay, good, I'm sure you can now. So also, there was another question here about the stumps that are left behind from the trees that were taken down and the water was so high. And when they cut them, they didn't get down that low because the water was there, or the water was so high.
Right.
Can we come back in there at a later time to get them down to the, closer to the root?
I can check into that for you and
Okay.
see.
And I'm not saying the next month or two, because I really would just as soon make it sure that the water is low enough so that everything is fully exposed if they do get out there.
Right, so they can flush cut it to
Yeah,
ground level.
exactly.
Yeah, rather than just another shorter stump.
Well,
So
there's
that's-
some tree stumps from the storm damage too, right along the lake that are still there, that are where the trees have turned up.
We're in the process of pulling all those out, I do believe.
They've already pulled out everything we were going to.
Well, you missed one then.
Uh,
Where
can
would
you
that
tell
be?
me-
Let them know.
Yeah, let me know where that's at.
It's on the big lake, whatever that is.
Which,
Be-
what do you mean the
By,
big lake?
by Ivory Stone, the long one that you drive down?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
So that would be,
We don't know, like,
I'd have
in
to look at a map,
Now-
I don't know lake number.
fact, it'd be nice to have a map
Get a
someday.
chart.
is
numbers?
it bordering Pebblebrook?
It's the one bordering
Yeah,
Pebble
yeah,
Brook.
It's right on Pebble Brook.
It's the lake between Weatherstone and Ivory Stone.
Yes, yes.
Okay, that is part of the Long Lake, but that way it tells me that, it's not down in the
It's
neighborhood,
over,
but if
and,
it's
no,
bordering
no,
Pebblebrook.
it's along, because I see it when I walk along Pebble Brook in the morning, and it's starting to sprout from
Okay.
what's left there.
That's why they didn't cut it. They were growing another tree.
We were hoping it was gonna come back.
It looks, yeah, no, you
I
cut
know,
off
yes.
the rest of it,
Yeah,
it
I
can't come
have
back.
that already, like
You'd be
58.
surprised when those trees can come
Yeah,
back.
between Weatherstone and what did you say?
Ivory Stone.
Small lake too. that they-
Ivory Stone.
Well, that's a long stretch.
Is that,
It's-
you
but
sure?
along the
Ho, ho,
Pebble
ho.
Stone.
You sure that's Weatherstone and Iverstone? Stone Tower would be the next.
I'm sorry, Stone Tower.
Okay. That's what I was gonna say, Weatherstone
He's
and
got- he got
Ivory Stone, that's a
confused.
long
I
stretch.
did.
Pebblebrook there.
Has to do with those
So
street
it's Ivory
signs.
Stone and Stone Tower.
Yes,
Yeah,
sorry.
that sounds,
And,
hang on a second. It's not between Iverstone and Stone Tower. It's between Stone Tower and Weatherstone, isn't it?
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, because
Yes.
Weatherstone and Stone Tower are almost abut each other.
Yeah, Weatherstone and Stone Tower. I apologize.
okay,
Some irrigation.
that's not,
So if we had a map and we had a number of each lake, then we could.
We'll work on
converse
that.
A lot better if we could get.
I'll try to get something from that from Margaret. We should have probably, because we don't know what the latest numbering system is.
Did they change the numbers or no?
Yes, they did. A couple years ago, they did.
several years ago, yes.
Long days.
Yeah, because Scott was here. Just before he left, they changed them, I think.
No, I think it was before that. I think it was before Scott got here, actually, that we changed the numbers.
All right, maybe.
That was a long time. I think Al Abdo was actually here when we did that.
Okay.
So if we see any stumps that haven't been removed from the trees toppled by the storm, we need to let you guys know that.
Yes, and try to give us
You
as
think
much
you
of the
got all of them,
location
then
as
If
possible.
we see one, we need to tell you.
And there's still a couple more, out there, there's still some more tree work to be done out there, actually.
What was, I got, changing subjects, was there any plantings that didn't get done because of the flooding? We sort of ran out of the fiscal year. No, we did finish everything we're gonna do. What about what was damaged that was recently planted from the storm? Was Mainscapes gonna take care of any of that, or is? Hey, guys,
Where, I really don't know of anything that, the trees came down on and damaged.
not
out
that,
there
well,
that-
some of the plants got blown out or damaged by the severe wind.
There's a couple of places now that, it was like a cocoa plum that was on the end of a hedge. And rather than come back in with a plant that is, a tenth of the size of what's there,
Mm-hmm.
my direction to them was take that out and
Okay.
just tighten that up with sod.
All right, I was
So that
thinking,
it looks like it,
but I was thinking about some of the more recent plantings that we did of the lower plants.
okay, no, we didn't lose any of that. through
We
the
didn't?
storms,
Okay,
no.
maybe they just kind of damaged and have to go grow back, and
Well,
hopefully
yeah,
they will.
it's been very wet, and, well, now we're going
Going
into our
real dry,
dry.
yeah,
But it was wet for so long, as you can see in a lot of residential, in your lawns, where the water came up so high, and there's
Mm-hmm.
a lot of shrubs out there that are still showing that sign of that damage. Some of it'll come back, some of them won't. But I haven't seen anything out there that we recently planted that I thought should be replaced because it was sitting too wet for too long.
Okay, I guess I know we left probably some money in the budget on the table, but I guess I'll just go into the surplus for next year, or accumulated. Anybody have anything for Ella while she's here?
Since this nice young lady over here mentioned the irrigation earlier, I did want to let you know that the irrigation controller for Stoneybrook, it's a Hunter IDS controller. It needed so much repairs, and it was something electrical, or, you know, it was just a communication thing with inside the controller, inside the motherboard in the controller. And the system itself, it's so old that we couldn't get replacement parts.
Didn't we agree to replace that?
We are replacing, and this is what I wanted to let you know.
Okay,
Because I didn't have time to come to you and let you know. We are replacing that controller. We actually had a shell here with the faceplate in it, so all we needed to buy were the boards inside. But Mainscape, we have approved a proposal for them to go in and replace that controller,
Okay.
which should alleviate a lot of those irrigation headache issues that we've been having.
okay.
Because the signals it was sending out was hit and miss, hit and miss, hit and miss.
Where's that located at?
We actually have a couple of controllers around the
There's
property.
one inside Stoneybrook, it's near one of the lift stations, I can't remember which one it is at this moment. All I can do is picture it in my head, and I know it's right by a lift station. And then there's another one that's on Gateway Boulevard outside,
Oh, is
it's right
it?
where those big boxes.
It's right, I think it might be on our side of the fence.
It is.
It's right over there.
But right across from the
Yeah,
villages.
yeah, exactly.
And that one there is shared by Stoneybrook, the villages, and Gateway.
I've always been concerned if we're not supplying them with water. It's just the way that setup is there. I don't know about the meters over there. It looks like some of our water could be going over and handling the villages and for irrigation, but
But no, that the controller, there are some zones on the other side of Gateway Boulevard that are technically the villages, that controller does operate. The one on the outside, not the one we're replacing. The one
Okay.
we're replacing is inside Stoneybrook, and it's basically for the common areas in there.
okay.
It might, I don't think it even has any zones around the.
I know we
recreation
we
area.
have one on the side of our clubhouse too. There's another controller over there, but I don't believe that you're even familiar with that, because I don't believe that does any,
No, I don't have.
it's more
any.
ball fields and stuff like that. yeah.
Right.
What about the broken sprinkler heads?
Broken sprinkler heads, if you let me know where they are, those are covered in the.
Walk down the sidewalk and you can see the sand.
Flushed out, washed
Oh,
out.
I do know there's several of those, and
Yeah.
they are, I alerted Mainscape, they should be done, they should be repaired.
I gotta tell you, a week or two ago, Mainscapes was in there testing. I saw the guy going through and testing the things. How could he not see that, though?
It's been since then.
All right, maybe so. So if we can get them back out there to take a
Well,
look
you
at
know, and
that.
I might miss one, I'm not
Yeah,
down
oh, no
there every
question.
day, and I'm not walking down the sidewalk every day, and sometimes I'm down there in the truck, and I don't see the one that's on the back side of the sidewalk. So if any of you folks see something that's like that, send me an email.
We're gonna give you
Because
some,
I
we're gonna
tried-
give you some flag stakes when you're walking.
There
Just
you
when you
go.
see something, just
Yeah,
Yeah, and I saw
Right.
some kid walking to school this morning waving one of those. They didn't stay there very long.
Yeah, that happens
Between the
too,
kids
but-
and the mowers, they don't last long. You're
I
right.
try to look at everything when I'm down there. Miss Flaherty rides with us when we're doing our landscape inspections. We're always looking to try to find anything that needs to be repaired
You.
or,
Irrigation's
something-
tough, and that's why we really depend upon Mainscapes to do that job and do it right, you know?
Yeah, well, you know, our irrigation system is in bad need of repair, and it has been for a long, long
So whose
time.
budget does that come out of, that replacement?
The one that we're replacing now will come out of the 004 budget.
Which doesn't have a whole lot of money to allocate it to that. And sometimes in the past, we've actually taken Stoneybrook money and edited it back into the 004, simply because at least the 004 doesn't pay sales tax on those kind of repairs. Anybody else have anything for Al?
Well, does she want to address some of Warren's concerns about sod and that kind of thing?
Well, yeah, there was a question about the trees. Where the trees came down, I know the issues, what do we want to put there? And for now, we put sod in those areas, and then one
Just
of
to
them
cover up,
washed.
just to cover up the bare
Oh,
soil.
right. Well, one of them, they didn't even fix the broken irrigation line, so it literally washed it out. And they did come back and put dirt in, I guess, new sod.
Apparently, yeah.
I hope they fixed the irrigation line before they did that. But is there any discussion about trees or recommendations on what to put in there?
Yes, we have, Kathy and Freddie and I have been making notes of where we lost trees and where we are definitely going to replace them. I wouldn't say that every single one that came down would be replaced. Sometimes there's enough trees in the area already,
I know.
you don't need to stick another one back in there. Let the ones that are there grow out to their potential, and you'll never miss the one that's gone.
They do grow toward the sun.
There is a lot of sod repairs to be done.
I think he was talking about the quality of the sod, of the way they laid the sod. They just threw it out on the ground. And
Okay, Mainscape wasn't there, that wasn't a Mainscape thing, that was a different contractor.
Oh,
That was
really?
the same contractor that was pulling the root stuff, the stumps out.
That's interesting.
And
Did you inspect their work at all?
did I inspect my tower's work? No.
Well, our
Pretty
concern
poor.
was they just threw the sod on top of the dirt, and the sod is about that much higher than the dirt. Now, when our landscaper comes out to do some repair work on our loop, we're making sure that they cut it in so that it's the same level as the other sod.
At least
That's
at the
way it's
edges,
done.
at least at the edges, yeah.
Huh?
At least at the edges, and when it gets near
Yeah,
to the old
around
stuff.
the edges,
Yeah.
just so it fits in. And these look like they just come out and flopped it down and pushed it together, and that was it. And you drive down, you can see where it's about that much higher, the thickness of the sod, that much higher over the rest of it. So I don't know if it will eventually sink in, or
It will
or the other
somewhat.
grass, the other grass will grow high enough, but it's still gonna be.
No, it will sink in
Yeah.
somewhat, because, when they pull those, they also put out dirt before,
Yeah.
they fill the holes with soil,
Yeah.
and then they put the sod on top.
Right,
That is gonna settle in some.
okay, well.
I mean, is it gonna settle in 4 inches, the depth of it, but I can't tell you
If
that.
if they
at
put
this
it in that
moment,
way
but-
in my house, they'd have been taken all out and I'd be getting a new landscape. I've laid enough sod that
Understood.
you just gotta do it right. If you don't do it right, it just doesn't get, I know grass down here is a little different than most. We used to throw it away, but compared to what they put in down here.
How many times you heard that?
I love the grass down here. It's the grass I was born and raised with, so.
It's crabgrass.
So real quick,
Well, that's all in the eyes of the beholder.
That's it.
there was an issue that was mentioned before you came out, and that is about the missing light poles. We still have light poles missing. And,
That's an FPL or?
yeah, but I think this is on Gateway property though, and Gateway has the contract with them.
Pebblebrook, okay.
Yeah,
I think Mike may have answers to that. I
Okay.
don't.
But we at least know that sod was put down by somebody
yeah.
else.
Thank you, Al, appreciate it.
Certainly.
So-
And again, if I can help you folks with anything.
So the aeration
I'll call you.
and that stuff will be looked into then?
It has been looked at.
Okay,
My proposal is in process.
thank you.
Thanks, Al.
I don't believe you've met Michael Tisch.
No,
He's
I have, but I don't think
Public
anybody else
Works
has.
Manager.
Hello, Michael.
Michael Kraft, come on up. Michael Kraft is
Whoa,
Finance Business Manager.
oh, okay.
He's our newest member.
Yeah, good to meet you, Mike.
Okay. So if you have any appropriate questions.
Well, I did have one, maybe, I don't know, maybe he's too new, is not aware. But I was a little shocked at the increase in our utilities cost for this year over last year.
That was one of the things I looked at. We don't charge against that, so I don't know. We have to inquire to.
If you could, I'd appreciate that.
ST and ask them what that is, because we don't charge against that, so I don't know.
All right, no problem.
We don't have an answer
We're
to your question.
$8,400 over last year, and I don't understand why.
And
Okay.
ST is Severn Trent.
Yeah.
Just a.
Well,
Yeah.
and ST is now Inframark.
Oh, so, I was just be
So-
able to remember Severn Trent, and Infomark will be a little bit easier, I think, to recall.
Then
So go
to-
ahead, Mike, what you got?
And then to answer your other question regarding the FP&L lights, they actually, I guess, contract with you all. You pay the electricity bill, and those are, the district, I don't have.
Yeah, but that goes through you.
um,
The contract is actually with Gateway, and we pay it out of the 004 budget.
I'm not aware of the contract. I've contacted FP&L, told them there was lights missing, they're looking into it.
Yeah.
They said if you are being charged for lights that aren't there, that, I guess that they can be contacted through billing and they can back charge you. I've informed them
We don't get
that.
billed directly for that.
Okay.
Because that is actually on Gateway-owned property. That's on both sides going down Pebblebrook Boulevard. And those lights are part of the contract. In fact, we added lights. We added 21 lights, I believe it
21
was, to what was the existing lights. And that was done through Gateway. And I know there's an existing contract. I know we have similar problems in our own office trying to find contracts sometimes, but I have seen it. I don't know that I have a copy of it, but I know
I
that
know I do.
Margaret's aware of
I
it.
know I do.
You do?
Most likely.
All right.
Well, I contacted them and said after the storm, there were several light poles that I've got a bunch of them back there that we took out
I've seen them.
because of safety issue, and their contractor was supposed to go back in and reinstall everything that was gone, and obviously they didn't.
I think they installed one. Warren said there's two more that he actually mentioned to him, but
At least
their
two.
work order was only one.
So whoever went and reviewed the situation missed them because they had been picked up and already removed, because so many of them were laying down. They did put some back up, but others were broken and needed to be replaced, and it didn't happen.
I've been in.
I think I even have the addresses of each one, so I'll just figure out which one's missing and get back
That would be helpful if,
to
because
you. I have the numbers for each one.
I
think.
I have them out there, but I don't know where they
Yours
were.
Mike, do you have a card on you with an email address or something? We
I
can
do.
just-
There's some up front.
Okay,
I can
good.
Pick up.
So you want to pick that up to be able to communicate with?
I think I have it
That'd be great.
already.
So what else you got for us? Anything?
And I heard you all talk about the street signs, because I had talked
You
to
had
you all about,
submitted-
I had given you a proposal to
Right.
replace all the
Did you ever
very
talk?
ancient signs that you have.
Did you ever talk to Scott, our CAM?
No.
Okay, that's probably the person you need to contact. Scott is right now we have a couple of people who are do signs that we also hired to do some repairs and fix-ups around the property. Thanks for coming, guys.
Okay.
And what we're doing is we're trying to repair the ones that are repairable, then to come down to a number of actual, these got to get replaced.
How do you propose to repair aluminum signs? I mean, you have to have a aluminum welder to do that, and that
Which
doesn't.
not everybody can do that. I understand that. The broken ones will probably wind up replacing.
I think the
agree.
ones that are just faded and stuff like
Some
that
are
are the
faded
ones
or
that's
just
getting.
pushed or
But
one
I
side or
just said
the
the
other.
ones you're going to have in very short order, a whole bunch of new ones, and the ones that aren't new are going to look really, really bad. I'm just looking at the disparity that you're going to have in your subdivision. You're going to have people driving down
I'm with you on
Pebblebrook,
that.
and you've got all these beautiful new signs, and then you've got these signs that are faded and look 20 years old. I mean, having those are powder-coated aluminum signs,
Right.
poles. I don't know how someone's going to actually repair those and paint them in place and give you the longevity that you're expecting.
Probably not. I agree.
And you're going to spend, probably half as much repairing.
Less than a third is what the poles are costing us to clean them up and paint them right now. But let me just say this, and before we were willing to spend that kind of money, because I know it was a $35,000 thing,
Right.
and you were able to save the sales tax compared to, because we had gotten basically the same estimate, and with it, but sales tax added on. And we're in the process of finding landscapers, and a new one, we're looking into that.
Right.
And that contract has to include that they're gonna be responsible when their lawnmowers are going running crazy out there and hitting our poles and breaking them. They gotta be responsible for it. And we wanted to resolve that before we put new poles in.
I was just concerned about how I mean, if you think that people are upset now and you have all these new ones and then we've got all these old ones, I think people are going to be really upset.
I hear what you're saying.
I'm just
The ones
concerned
that-
about
Have you
the.
seen the ones they cleaned up though? They don't look awful. They really don't.
I haven't seen.
They cleaned up pretty good. They
I was
really
just,
did.
I mean, as aesthetically driven as the subdivision is, I just already see the torrent of, oh my gosh, but
The
you guys
poles-
are the advisory
yeah,
committee,
the
so.
poles that you're looking at, were they identical to what we have? Or are
Yes,
they-
the same company that installed them
Okay.
originally.
We
They're
have
out
a
of-
board meeting on Monday. JT and I will discuss that and bring that up in discussion, okay?
I'm just, I mean, you're one of the nicer neighborhoods in,
We
you
can
know,
bring it up in
in Gateway, and it's, I mean, that's the first thing I saw when I'm driving through, looking at all the,
broken ones.
all the stuff. It's
Meanwhile, what
just-
about the ones that are gone, or there's nothing on them at all?
They're the ones that were taken out in the storm are all being replaced.
Okay, well, I'm thinking that there are some that there's no name, there's streets that we have. no
Those
sign.
are all coming, those,
Coming.
I had to order those because
Yeah, exactly.
they're gone. And then you even have some of
What's the
the,
ETA on that? Just so.
they said they're shooting for the end of this month.
Okay,
So are those signs in that 35,000 bid, or is that? a
well, they
separate-
probably
That's,
are part of
it's-
that.
The 35,000 is separate from what I've spent.
So what's the bill on the ones that are
So on
being
the
shipped now, that are ordered now?
Well, that's all of Gateway, it's just not,
Oh, I'm sorry.
it's just
Yeah.
not Stony Brook.
All
It's
right.
everything that got wiped out along Gateway Boulevard
Was that
and
part of an
Griffin.
insurance claim?
Yes.
Okay, that's why.
So
Man,
we don't know
we
how
could have
many of
added
those
more to
signs we're
that.
gonna
We
get.
have a lot of damage from that storm that's.
Well, the signs, the additional ones that are just aging weren't.
Right.
I went through and
Yeah.
went through and counted them all and then came up with everything that needed to be replaced just based on age.
Okay.
I mean, I'd be, you know,
Well, I suspect that ultimately they will all be replaced, but I think in the near term, we're probably gonna fix some and replace most.
and some
What's
that
gonna
stay,
happen?
I've got signs in here to replace some of the ones, some of the stop signs that are faded, I'll be replacing those.
Okay.
So,
And we can expect that also in the next month or two, or no?
right, when they come through to
Okay.
do the sign replacement through Stony Brook, I'll have them replace the faded signs that are still remaining.
Anybody have anything else for Mike?
I'm just concerned that you're talking about Scott's in charge of getting the other stop signs we were doing. We're talking about stop signs too, so we're not gonna be overlapping where Scott's getting signs
No,
repaired
that's why
and you're
we
doing
need
new ones.
Scott and Mike to communicate, to be on
Okay.
the same page.
All I'm seeing
Um,
is getting like double.
I'll give the office
bill
number right now if you got a
too many
pencil.
signs.
Ask for Scott and just tell him that you spoke to Joe, and Joe says you guys gotta talk, be on the same page.
And the group of signs that he
Joe
ordered with all
McCall.
of Gateway, how many of those signs are the ones that were down that are in Stony Brook? You don't know?
Can you repeat the question?
The group of Gateway signs that you ordered that were completely damaged and down, do you know how many of those are in Stony Brook?
Most of them are in Stony Brook.
So the majority of ours that were down are gonna be replaced because you've already ordered them.
Right.
The ones that are down, yeah, but
Okay, okay.
that's a
The
minority.
ones that are missing.
Yeah,
And
that is a
So
minority,
what's-
it's something.
That's-
But in any case, yeah, it's Scott. I think his last name is Sharnoff, but just go with Scott for now. And,
what's the number?
561. I use 1018. It's a less used number. Get a better chance of getting through. And identify yourself.
Okay.
And try to see where he stands. And it would help tremendously if the two guys can talk and say, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that, and coordinate the activity, okay?
Okay.
I appreciate that.
I was
Anything?
gonna- Well, and one other thing, I guess I would tell you all that I'm going to be working with Bill Prezy. We were gonna have him come in and look at all the landscaping along Gateway Boulevard and Griffin to kind of redo the landscaping along the main boulevard, but the fact that our irrigation system is rather in disrepair didn't make a lot of sense to me to spend a whole lot of money on a
it. I
system
understand.
that we won't be able to install. So we're actually going to be looking at doing facelifts to the monument signs. The board gave me direction that on the meeting on the 7th to actually work with him to update the signs at.
Which monuments are we talking about? At the beginning and end of Gateway Boulevard, or even in front
Correct.
of the communities?
No, the ones at in front at the entrances
Okay.
of Gateway. The U-Haul is rather new. You've got the vertical stack pavers around your sign that's on 82.
Yeah, actually, that is your sign, it's not ours, but I know, it used to say Stoneybrook on it, and they tried to charge us to fix it, and I said, no, just take the name off, because you own it. But the fact is that that sign was fixed about 4 or 5 years ago. They did spend some serious money to update that sign.
So we're going to work with the architect to actually update the entrance off of Daniels, also off of Griffin, and then into the business parks. But we're going to be looking at doing some sort of facelift to everything to bring kind of everything
They all look
into
the same, yeah.
a look that is similar, throughout the community entrances, but also something that's updated.
Yeah, it is nice when you drive into some communities, and it really looks sharp when the monuments and signs are looking good. I agree, it makes a difference.
So just wanted to let you all know that the one at the Stoneybrook sign at 82 and Gateway Boulevard is also going to be part of that
Great.
refresh.
I do want to tell you the timer on the lights on that 182 are off.
We're actually going to, I'm going to be replacing the lighting, the heads on them, the
Go with the
lighting.
LEDs?
When I had the wall painted, noticed that the all it is just a fluorescent bulb in there that was supposed to light up a big huge sign. So I'm actually gonna have him replacing the direct lighting that lights up the monument
I think it's a
sign.
good idea, yeah.
Similar to what I actually did to your main entrance. I had those all replaced.
It looks much better, too. I agree, I noticed
I'm
that.
gonna use the same heads out on 82.
Yeah. I mean, I think half the time I've been living here, on that one side of the sign, one of the lights was always out, would always crap out. I don't know why, but it seemed to be a problem. But
Got
yeah.
it fixed.
Yeah, that was just recent, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, I just noticed it the other day. All right, Bill, thanks very
Can
much.
I ask a silly question?
Sure.
I don't go that way as often as I used to, but on 82, the Publix up there, when I came home, I don't know, it was a week ago, I just happened to notice, I was talking to my daughter, said, you can't even see the Gateway Boulevard sign. It's lit up, it has lights. And I don't know who's in charge of the trees there, but a tree's gotta be trimmed or cut or something. You can't even see the sign. When you're on 82, coming this way, taking a right, who's in charge of that? You can't see the sign. That's cost, a lot of money. It's one of those big ones that's lit up. You can't see it at all.
You're talking about in the corner of Gateway and
Yeah.
82.
Yeah.
Well, that's the one we were talking about. He's gonna
No,
change
no.
the lighting out there.
The street sign, she said.
Street sign.
Oh, the street
It's
sign.
No, not the wall thing. No, the other one. It's a street sign. Like
Yeah,
when you're
it
driving.
says Gateway Boulevard.
And people drive crazy right there. And I'm like, if anybody's coming that way, they can't even see the Gateway.
Where you're
Boulevard
making
sign.
that right hand, you get
Yes.
into that
Yeah.
right-hand turn
Right-hand
lane,
turn.
yeah.
The street sign.
That would be,
You cannot see it at all.
that's now maintained by Lee County Department of Transportation, so I think you could actually call over to the Lee County Department of Transportation, talk to the landscaping section, and they would have someone,
Yeah,
they're
because I
probably
could go
gonna.
to the condos and tell them to come.
I'll have to look at that, because some of those trees, they're still ours to maintain, so it depends on where the trees are. If it's,
It was blocked pretty good. I mean, I
I'll-
couldn't see it at all. I was like, oh my goodness.
I'll have to take a look then.
Yeah, if next time you're out there,
Just go to Publix.
take
and
note
come
of
back
it.
and
I have to admit, I'm
look.
not looking for the sign either, but
Yeah.
I don't-
I'm sure she's
Yeah.
right.
Other people need to see the
Yeah.
sign.
Any other questions?
I think we're good for now, Mike. I appreciate it.
Okay.
All I ask you is to get in touch with Scott, because this is on the signs. We do want to move forward with that and get that cleaned up.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, I never knew
Mike,
that
the other
sign
Mike?
either, 'cause I know it.
Do you have anything for us, or?
I do not. 100% gone.
Okay. I appreciate it. Anybody, are we good?
That's it.
All right, well, thanks very much for your time. We do
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Good meeting you.
Well, we heard from this was a different meeting. It didn't turn out like I thought it was going
We're
to.
not having an agenda.
And ask them questions. I learned a lot.
Anybody, any committee members have anything they'd like to add at this point in time?
I just want a copy of the lakes. I need to learn what number the lakes are.
Yeah, I know, that is an issue. And I think we would like to have one in our office also that identifies the lakes by a number that corresponds to what they're familiar with. So if no one has anything to say, I'm more than happy to entertain a motion.
Set the meeting date for next
Oh, yes, you're right about that, yeah. You are correct, Amundo.
January 10th.
Excuse me, I'm not gonna get copies made up, but that, I have it on my computer, okay, so I don't need that if you want to have a copy of that. You were not involved with the budget process, but you can take a look at that. And later on, if you have questions, you can ask
Oh, I
me.
do have a question. Because of our last meeting, it was brought up about the engineers. When are they having meetings that we can actually attend and be educated on what they're reviewing? The engineers on the water situation, flooding.
I don't know if all those meetings are open to the public or not, but I will tell you that before anything is decided, it's when this room is full, they have their supervisor meetings, it'll be discussed. Sometimes to ad nauseam, you know what I mean, it
Yeah,
goes
but I
on too long.
like to educate myself and go to those meetings so I don't end up backed up against the wall and not knowing what we're dealing with.
Mhm.
I thought if we went to the meetings, then we would learn what the engineering company has to say.
Sometimes I have to confess, because they're talking about more than just Stoneybrook, they're talking about all of Gateway.
It's
It
okay.
does get to be a little,
It's
you know, your
okay.
eyes go back in your head.
I will sit there.
And you're almost depending upon the supervisors up here to be responsible enough to do their job too, and look after that. But you're certainly welcome, obviously, to come to meetings and to listen. But as far as, Chris would have been the guy to ask. I did turn in a copy of the report that he gave us, that it was not a final report, but an intermediary report about their investigation into the
Where?
into elevations of various key points and what they were supposed to be and what they actually are. And, but I don't know that a final report has been produced yet. But I know Scott has that report, because I turned it over to him in the office, and he should be, you know,
Yeah, because I'm gonna miss
on
it
top
on the
of
next
that.
meeting. That's
Other than that,
all of them.
I can't comment about the other
Okay.
thing about engineers. So I got a motion from Dick. Anybody want a second?
Second.
Oh, hang
What was
on,
the
I'm
date of the
sorry.
meeting?
Next meeting, you're right.
Next meeting's
It's on the
January
agenda.
10th.
January 10th.
Oh, it is, okay.
Yep.
I'd already put that on there.
Yeah. So, all right, for January 10th, then, would be
There
the
it is.
second. Because it's almost always the second Wednesday, unless there's an issue.
Okay.
Yeah,
And so everybody okay with,
for now.
okay. So January 10th, 2018 will be the next committee meeting. Now I'll take a motion.
Now I will make a motion that we adjourn.
Okay, I need a second.
Second.
Second from Virginia, if anybody's making notes out there. Okay, so
Aye.
we're all in favor? I guess it's everybody? Unanimous? And we're good to go. Thanks for coming. And hopefully something will come out of our discussion.
All right.
I guess the most important thing is we take pictures of stuff, so when we come in here, we can say that one.
Irrigation head,
I think things get done more.
That should be
You've got pictures
responsible.
or they're on paper.
And I said that more than once.
We're talking about it for an hour. Do this one.
I'm not gonna be able to report it until the first week of January.
You guys have a great week.
We're leaving.
You too.
See you Monday, probably, Monday night.
Well, I won't be. My
Oh, shame on
daughter
you.
is a Star Wars, this might be one of my first meetings to miss. Star Wars fanatic, so she got us tickets for Christmas to see
Alright,
the
cool.
Star Wars on Monday night. I didn't even think about a board meeting. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna miss this one. Normally I'm there. Is it gonna be a crazy fun one?
I don't know, depends who shows up, because people are posting stupid things on Facebook.
Oh my goodness, yeah. Well, have a great week.
I noticed that. And there's no talking to her. You know, and it's hard to help somebody out.
6 months. It's been worse.
It's hard to help her out if she isn't willing to listen. And, you know, and what she is complaining about, I notice it sometimes. I actually went through the trouble, because I noticed when I used the Drano, it did make a difference. So the last time what I did was I closed my drain before I ran, what do we got?
I don't know, is that what he was talking about?
What's the date on these? Is there a year?
Because I heard some conversation, but I
Yeah, I
didn't,
know.
there is no dates. They're signed, but there's no dates. Oh, wait, here, October 1st, 2012.
Well, this is signed by Neubauer, Secretary, and Joe Tarja. This is the one he's talking about, and then supposedly got reversed, but I think he's conversing. I think this is the last one, and that we are operating off of these. And it doesn't have any expiration date, so it's an ongoing